with a flame-safe lamp. So that's why you've got these lamp rooms or lamp cabins, to store and maintain the miner's lamp itself. And the reason the miner needs the lamp is methane gas. Methane is a natural part of the coal itself. It was formed at the same time the coal was formed, from that rotten vegetation and the giant forests of about 250 million years ago. And all the time that coal is forming in the earth, that methane gas is trapped in the coal. So when the miners come along with the picks and they start to hack into the coal seam, methane gas can escape. You can't see it, you can't smell it. It's lighter than air, but in the right conditions you can explode it. Early miners were using candles and open flame lamps, so it wasn't unusual to blow the whole mine up, sometimes with great loss of life. So that's why the miners need a flame-safe lamp, to try and prevent explosions of that methane gas within the mine. Now, as you see, every lamp's got its own number. Every miner had his own number and, of course, his own lamp. So when he came on shift, he'd shout that number out. 87th, he'd be given the lamp number 87. And at the same time, the miner picked up 2 tokens or tallies with his mine's number on. There'd be a zinc one and a brass one. The zinc one allowed the miner into the mine itself. There was a man standing at the top of the mine called the banksman. He collected the tokens off the miners and allowed the miners down into the mine itself. When the whole shift was safely down, the banksman would take all the zinc tokens he collected to a board very like this one. And he put the tokens against the corresponding number. And that showed that man was in the mine. The brass one, the miner kept on his person. Some of the lads even put them in the right boot. So if there was an explosion or an accident down the mine, the rescuers could identify a miner by the number on his brass towel. But if he had a good shift, at the end of the day when he came out of the mine, at the top of the mine, he'd hand the brass one to the banksman. The banksman would then take it to the board, place it over the top with a tally already handed there, and that showed that man was safely out of the mine and on his way home. A very easy visual check at any time of who was in the mine and who was out of the mine. There was one other gas the miners had problems with. That came after explosions or fires in mines. That gas was carbon monoxide gas, which you probably all know is a suffocating gas. It came after explosions, it was partly burnt air. Miners trapped would die of suffocation. Rescue teams that attempted to rescue them would sometimes get caught out and perish. There was no way to detect it. But if you took a small bird, any small bird, and placed it into a small cage and put it on the end of a stick and carried it into the mine with you, those very small birds' lungs would take a small percentage of that carbon monoxide in. The bird would get uncomfortable. It could fall off its perch. But that would give you, as a rescuer, plenty of time to get back out into the fresh air and save your own life. The miners used canaries. The reason they used canaries? Miners in the villages bred them as a hobby for competitions. So the coal manager would pay one of the lads in the village to breed them specifically for the rescue teams. And that's why we have the canaries in the lamp cabin. But on a happier note, by 1988, when they finally stopped using the canaries in the mines, the cage had a small oxygen bottle on the top, so you could actually revive the bird on the way out of the mine itself. So on that happier note, we'll take you across to the mine. Then it was reopened by the museum in 1979 as shown on the stone. It's what they call a drift mine. A drift mine was one way of taking the coal without the need for those deep shafts into the ground. Because originally the coal itself was just sticking out from the hillside in what they call an outcrop of coal. Hack the coal off. But of course, the more coal you'd taken away, the more the coal started to fall back into the hill. So the miners followed the coal in, creating the roadways as they went, and they called it drifting with the coal. This one drifted in for 1.5 miles, down to a depth of 300 feet. Then it went 1 mile to the west and 1 mile to the east. So there was a large area of coal mined right under this hillside itself. A few words on safety. keep the hard hats on. The mine itself never gets any lower than 4'8". 4'6", that was the legal height you could take a pit pony in. So the coal owners actually heightened the roadways to accommodate ponies, but unfortunately not the miners. So that's why you do need to be aware of that height in the mine. Anytime you don't like it or you feel uncomfortable, at any time you can just turn round and make your way back to the surface. There's no problem, you need to leave the mine. But if you follow us in, walk near the centre of the roadway, and you gain a little bit extra height on the way into the mine.
That was really hard running together. It gets quite small. It's down. In about 5 minutes, I turn it off and it goes sticks up.
Down here. Right. Don't go too far though. Yeah, that's right. Just hello. Yes, but, well, not in this mine. In this mine, they'd be brought into the mine every day, they'd do their work, then they'd take them back to the stables. But if it was one of these really deep mines with the shafts, they'd go down at 4-year-old, and they'll be down there for the rest of their lives. They wouldn't come out until they were either injured or not able to work. But when the mines were nationalised in 1947, and the miners got that 2 weeks holiday, the ponies came out for that fortnight as well. So they actually brought them to the surface. And like the miners, they didn't want to go back down again because they couldn't catch them in the field. As you can imagine. Yeah. Right, if you just come down a little bit more there. So you are you at the height of the back there? Yeah, just can't really see for that light there. Right, now this machine you see here is the Siskel coal cutter. Introduced into the mines about 1910. One of the very first machines to use compressed air to drive them. The mine O'Neill behind, he'd use this handle to control a hammerhead drill, hammering and twisting into the coal. When this handle was turned, that would slowly take that hammerhead across the coal, ripping and riving into the coal as it went. The say when it was operating, it was equal to about 10 of those really old-fashioned road drills you used to see. So you could imagine the noise, the dust, the vibration coming away from this machine. And of course in 1913 there's no face masks, there's no ear protection. All you've got is a scarf or a rag across your nose and mouth, trying to stop some of that dust getting in your lungs. And a big cotton wool in your ears to stop you going deaf. It was a horrendous machine to operate. But the coal owners liked it, it was productive. This machine could cut more coal in an 8-hour shift than 5 miners. So it was productive. The lads working with it could make a good wage. But as you probably all realise, to the detriment of their health, it was a horrendous machine for noise and dust. But in 1913 in Durham, most of the miners were still using the hand tools, the pick, the shovel and a hand drill. In 1913 in Durham, 305 mines were operating, 160,000 people employed in the industry. There was 20,000 pit ponies in the mines that year in Durham. But in 1913, Durham miners alone created a new UK record. 41.5 million tonnes of coal were sent to the surface that year. And that is a record for hand-filling coal that stands today. And after 1913, the mines in West Durham were going into decline and disuse as they were gradually moving out towards the northeast coast and the deep shaft mines that were chasing that big coal out under the North Sea itself. Now we're going to move down to coal stall now, but just be aware, this is where it drops down that 4'8" at the far end. So just be aware of the decrease in height and watch the cross beams as you're moving in. There is a few pools of water underfoot, so just watch them as you come in. Take it down. plenty of height to sit down. If nobody else wants a seat, then you can stand fair enough. Bring yourselves in here, or bring you all in. But you've got plenty of height to stand in, you don't have to.
Come on, I'm the one with the bad knee.
Aye, right, wipe them off, that's it. Turf them off.
Come on,
Aye, aye.
Get up, Bobby.
They've got plenty of height to stand, haven't they?
Sit next to mine now.
You're lucky you got on the end. Oh, they're broke on the end.
Is that still curled in there?
Yes, it's solid coal. Yeah.
Why have we stopped going into this then? If we're still...
Because this is holding the roof up.
Oh.
The way they worked it, in what they call stalls. You'd have a stall and you'd have about 10 yards of coal, and that coal was left in solely to keep the roof up.
Okay.
But them being so shallow, it was quite common just for the roof. They couldn't keep the roof up with rubbish. Well, looking here, because part of the qualifications they make it their mind for this job is that the concrete roof. Right, if you want, are you all right in the back there now? You happy enough there? If you look round here now, you realise that you're right in the middle of the coal. And everywhere you look now, you see the coal itself. And that just shows you how close the coal is to the surface in the Durham coalfield. And this is a good working height for any miner. Nearly 4 foot of good workable coal. Because within the coalfields, they were down to 18 and 20 inches that they were crawling into, chasing that coal. So this was a good working height for any miner. This was the coal stall where the miner spent his 8-hour working day. He didn't get paid to walk into the mine, and he didn't get paid to walk out. His 8-hour shift started right at the coal. So any time spent walking in and out had to be added to that 8 hours at the coal itself. These were the tools of his trade. The coal pick, the shovel, the hand drill and drill rods. All these tools had to be bought and paid for by the miner. The only thing the coal company supplied, the flame-safe lamp, because it had to do so by law. Now, you always hung your lamp up. With enough fuel in it to last you about 10 hours, that would give you plenty of time to walk in, do a good 8-hour coal shift and safely leave. And the fuel itself is a smokeless kerosene. Now, to give you some idea what it's like to work by, we'll put the main lights out now. And that is the miner's lamp itself. Now at the moment there is a bit of light coming up the roadway. That wouldn't have been there. This was the sole illumination for the miner working by himself in the coalfield, or the coalfields. Well, the longer you stay with the lamp, the more your eyes get used to the conditions and adapt to it, and that's what actually happened with the old miners. But if you used a candle, it would give nearly twice as much light.
Just blow you up.
Just blow you up, exactly. The benefit of this lamp, it gave the miner a light, and it did help protect or prevent explosions of the methane gas. So it was a good working lamp. Now, it does bring us in a short tour, and it is a short tour, because we're not trying to teach you the history of the coal or the machines. We're just trying to show you what it's like for the miners when they came to work. And it didn't even matter what part of the country you came from. 1913, once you got down to the coal in any colliery, conditions were pretty much the same. So I do appreciate the time that you spent down here, and I hope it's given you a little bit of an idea what it was like from those lads when they worked the coal in the coalfields of Durham in 1913. And if you'd like to make your way back to surface, I'll follow you back, and thanks for taking the time to come into the mine.
Thank you. Listen, Canaries don't rush off.
No.
The water, there'll be a lot of water, won't there?
Yeah, just read it then, those days.
Now they're like ponytails, conditioner on the beard.
Stop.
Thank you very much.
Hi, La.
Quick, get the Canaries passed out.
Around 4'6", I think. And 4'6". So that's what got in. Just keep your heads down.
scales. If that material totals any more than 20 pounds in weight, that equates to a shovel of stone. This time, the hewer loses the tub and is fined for it. Now, master women, of course, weren't well liked by hewers. But by law now, they're entitled to employ their check women. Usually they pick somebody out of the ranks. Probably they give the job to an older man, but somebody that would stick up for them. They're all chipped into paper wage. He was up here on their behalf, checking and frequently arguing with the master wheeler. Next, the tub is pushed into this device. It's called the tippler. It tips right over, emptying the contents. Now revealing, normally from inside the tub on bits of string, 2 identity numbered tokens. One belonged to the hewer, the other to the putter that pushed the tub. They've each got an ample supply of these tokens down there with them, with their identity number stamped on. And just before work the tub, they normally put one each inside. So the coal going on top stops anybody else swapping their tokens for their work. The kicker takes the tokens into his office, he keeps the records. The empty tub is then withdrawn from the tippler, brought to this temporary parking position. As soon as the leader let anyone on the other side, that's rolled behind. Meanwhile, here at the cages, every 1.5 minutes, one or other of these cages keeps coming up with 2 tubs of coal. The pace up here was unrelenting. Continue that process on over every 24-hour period. Beamish second pit weighs 650 tonnes of coal. If we could just go down these stairs, I'll just spend 1 minute to complete this scenario for you. There's a couple of big benches down there to sit on as well, by the way, so you can have a sit down, all right? Process. Where the coal's tipped off, it first passes over a vibrating screen. That was vibrating away, just sitting off some rubbishy smalls. The rest of it came trundling down onto this sheet metal conveyor belt, driven by the steam engine. This was just moving along at a slow walking pace, tipping the coal off this end, down through a chute in the coal wagons positioned underneath the catch it. This is the picking belt. We just have one picking belt now, a small mine. Bigger mines had 2 or more. Now, people often say, didn't they employ women to do this work? They did in other counties. Northumberland, Cumberland, Yorkshire and other counties, they're all employing women for this. But not in County Durham. It was considered here that the woman's place was at home and only men and boys would be employed. Spaced out on each side, a number of young lads aged 12, 13, 14 years of age. The odd old or lame miner finishing his working days back here. I've even heard of a one-armed picking belt worker. And of course, frequently on medium jobs like this, you get the odd fella that was a bit simple, but he could manage to do this. So he'd be given a job on this for donkey's years. And of course, all they were doing, as things moved slowly by, removed anything to see that wasn't coal. They had a hand pickies because often bits of material were joined with lumps of coal and had to be separated, and then they were just picking it out and dropping it on the floor behind. Slowly picking them out like this. Bits of coal, bits of metal, bits of anything that's not coal. Occasionally it happened the odd time, you know, even if it was stirred with float amongst the coal. A bit of a low ground, perhaps not wanting to leave his plum smelling where he worked, or more likely, just a dirty bugger with a sense of humour. He would do his business on his shovel, dropping the truck, put some coal on it, for one of these young lads to get their hands in it. Now, they'd be standing here doing this monotonous job for hours at a time. Shifts on picking belts averaged 10 hours. In my day work, it wasn't quiet and clean. When these places were running, they were always very noisy and always a lot of dust in the atmosphere. There's no heat in these flimsy wood buildings either, and the winter get freezing. And that at the window there, that jumps to the floor level of the keeper's office. So you can be sitting there watching you as well. But what he's really watching for is too much rubbish appearing on the picking belt, because that's how he decides when to go up and tell the master of the women to do those random tips. Towards the end of the shift, the young lads then gather all the debris off the floors, sweep the floors, put the debris into baskets, carry the baskets up the stairs to the yon end of the pit head, out onto the gantry into the pit heap, Any of the baskets hit that tub that was outside, which in turn, of course, has rolled along and tipped on the heap. Thanks very much.
Thank you.